Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that right now. Hit that subscribe button right below. Here's a fun one. Baltimore Ravens at the Minnesota Vikings. Baltimore by 4.5 on the road here in Minnesota. Just the lowly 3-5 Ravens.
Lowly 3-5 division favorite.
And the 4-4 Vikings with the rejuvenated season with J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
Back under center, defense looking good last week. Should be a fun matchup here Sunday at 1.
It should be. Yeah, both teams are a lot more interesting than they were a few weeks ago. Baltimore do look completely resurgent. The defense looks better. Lamar Jackson looks like MVP Lamar Jackson. And as long as that, even that, forget the defense. Even if the defense was terrible, the fact that Lamar Jackson is back being MVP Lamar means everything is on the table for Baltimore's perspective. The defense being improved, even if it's not necessarily good, is obviously a huge thing in their favor as well. Like Kyle Hamilton is such a talented player that they can just move him to wherever the weakness is on the defense, and he will make it better. Doesn't matter where it is, just play him there. And that gives you so much flexibility because now you just have to determine, what is the weaker area? We just put Hamilton there, right?
Yeah.
And you can make something specifically better just by moving Kyle Hamilton to wherever you need him. That's huge. And then J.J. McCarthy looked pretty good last week. Now, again, I think that's going to be inconsistent. I think he's going to be all over the map based off the limited sample size we've seen from him. But, there was probably a degree of mental strength and fortitude that he needed to have that kind of performance. Most people were pretty down on J.J. McCarthy. The term soft benching was being thrown around. He couldn't have been feeling great heading into that game. There must have been quite a lot of pressure on him to show up and not be ass, right? And actually show that you can take this job and make the most out of Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and their weapons there and not disappoint, Kevin O'Connell, this genius coach that's supposedly propping you up. I think there was quite a lot of pressure on him in that game, and he answered.
There's something to that. I was on our friend Matthew Collar's show yesterday, and I brought up, how many times have I brought up Bo Nix on this show on non-Broncos discussions? But the same thing that is with Bo Nix, if you go through throw by throw and you really analyze it and this and that, maybe it's not the best overall performance for Bo or last week for JJ, but there was a handful of great throws in there, right?
Yeah.
Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, the back shoulder to Jalen Naylor, but that was the key, right? When in crunch time on third and long scramble drill touchdown, third and long back shoulder to Naylor. Now, the analyst in me often says, let's see it throw for throw. Can you just always be clutch? Can you always make the big throw? But there is something to that in football generally, right? Is making the plays when you need to. It doesn't mean you're always going to. Of course, you're going to fail. But I think that's what is going to be most intriguing about J.J. McCarthy, right? Even when we were describing him as, 7 out of his 8 quarters were bad. Well, the one quarter that was good was in crunch time, fourth quarter against the Bears to go win the game, right? So now we've seen that a couple times from J.J. McCarthy. If that's going to be a thing, then, you'd rather have more consistency throughout the game. But it's a good trait to have, right? Is the ability with the ball in your hands to make the right decisions and give your chance a team to win if it's close. And JJ's done that twice now this year. One in a comeback attempt and then, against the Lions to seal it, just to keep the lead. So that's been impressive.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't need to be predictive. The point is he's already shown a significant degree of mental resilience because of those clutch plays, and if that can buy him a little bit of time to improve, which obviously as a young quarterback he needs to do, that's the important thing. But you've already seen him able to maximize guys like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, the rest of the receivers in that core. He can be effective in this offense. That offensive line for Minnesota being back is huge. Baltimore's defensive front is not scary anymore. That's a group you won't be terrified of going up against. 4/5 of that line for the Vikings is intact. They can run the ball better when that's the case. J.J. McCarthy is protected better when that's the case, which gives him the platform to go after those receivers. Like I said, the thing that stood out to me last week was how rough he was on the move. Was that just a bad game, or is that going to be a weakness of his game? That'll be something interesting to look
I
at.
thought he was good at that at Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Like, it might have just been a rough day where everything he threw on the move was off target. But that was a problem last week. If that bounces back this week, I mean, he might be capable of even better play off the back of that.
And then, you mentioned Baltimore's defensive front. I'd be interested to see how that evolves in the coming weeks here. They added Draymond Jones from the Titans as a pass rusher. We've mentioned the Kyle Hamilton thing just to add some color to what you've described there. So the first 5 weeks, he'd only spent 36% of his time either in the box or slot, so in and around the line of scrimmage. That's been jacked up to 94%. That's his new role. Ravens rush yards allowed have gone from 146 down to 86 with Kyle Hamilton's new alignment. He's blitzing, 5 to 8 times a game now.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a factor. So for a team that has not had a very good pass rush, can Hamilton create some havoc up front, some indecision on the offensive line? Draymond Jones, does that help the pass rush a little bit? And can they get Mike Green going in the second half? Again, who's shown some spurts, but has been underwhelming, I'd say, as a second-round rookie so far this season. So those are my Ravens questions. And then, offensively, we haven't seen him since last Thursday against Miami. Lamar Jackson made his return, looked really good. They didn't run him at all. If the offense gets back to what they've been under Lamar Jackson, I mean, that's the same old Ravens team. Good luck trying to beat this team. You got to play really good football.
Yeah, I mean, that's Flores going up against Lamar Jackson will be a pretty fun matchup.
A lot of fun on that side of the ball. The Ravens run game against the Minnesota run defense. Again, I hate predicting run defense because you just never know when it's going to be good. Minnesota's run defense had been awful for most of the season, and then they just step up and slow down the Lions. They had a great game plan for the Lions' passing attack, for creating mismatches in the pass game, forcing Jahmyr Gibbs to pass block and just taking them out of their game. But that when the Ravens' offense is cooking, it is really difficult to do that to them because they have so many answers. Run game, pass game, Lamar running. So should be a fun matchup on that side.
Lamar running and Derrick Henry if he gets loose. I mean, the thing that's characterized this Vikings run defense when it hasn't been good is that they blow gaps. And if you blow a gap and let Derrick Henry get ahead of steam into the second level, I mean, that's where he gets the big plays, right? Because then he's a stiff arm on a safety away from going the distance, and that could be a problem.
All right, man, it's 4.5. Ravens 3-5. Again, all these 3-5 teams, you just can't really slip up at this point. If Baltimore is actually going to make a run in the North, they got to win. They have to win these games, but it's the same thing with Minnesota. They're in the middle of this very difficult schedule, this game being one of them. They're in last place in the North, but they're a good team. They're built to be competitive in the NFC, so it's a huge game this week. Sunday at 1, Baltimore favored by 4.5.
Yeah, they're the one team, though, Baltimore, in this kind of 3-5 world where it feels like they can't slip up that much, but they have so much in their favor in terms of they probably were never that bad to begin with. You have an MVP caliber quarterback, and a lot of your games are against the teams that you would need to beat in order to overhaul that anyway. So they're in a kind of not quite unique, but an unusual situation where I think they're a much stronger position than, say, Houston, who's also 3-5, but are 4 games back from the Colts, who look good. I think that Lamar and the Ravens roll.
Yeah, I'll take the Ravens to cover, as will Harry.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a video.
You heard the man. Subscribe.